Hello and welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Mary Louise Van Atta.
We're tackling a subject today that has so much freight on it, human rights. Just even using the phrase scares some people, and we want to take the fear out of it. So that's why we brought together a group of people who can tell us a lot more about it and make it a lot more accessible to us. Would you please welcome the Salem Human Rights and Relations Advisory Commission members. We'll start with you over there on the far...
Yeah, do some introductions for us.
Yeah, give us some... What is your name?
My name's Carl Polm-Fodre. I'm a baby Salemite. I've only been here for a year and a half. I came from the East Coast, and I was on the Human Rights Commission in Elizabeth, New Jersey before coming here.
Welcome.
And elsewhere, have you not?
I've worked in human rights for a number of decades in the United States and Latin America and Mexico, Guatemala, working with indigenous groups and immigrants and whatnot.
And you are?
My name's Andy Blevins. I'm a JD MBA here at Willamette University. I actually sit as the vice chair on the commission. Pretty excited about that.
Excellent. And you are?
Sure, my name is Gretchen Bennett, and I serve as the staff liaison to the Human Rights Commission, and I work in the mayor and city manager's office at the city of Salem.
For those of you who may not know, the Human Rights and Relations Commission has been working on behalf of people in our area for 4 decades.
A long time.
Give us a thumbnail sketch of who you are and what you do.
Well, sure. When you say 4 decades, one of the favorite concepts that I think inspires the work of the commission was some words by Eleanor Roosevelt. She talked about human rights being close to home. They're in the neighborhood, they're in the streets, they're in the schools, they're in the workplace, they're very local. And really what we do is try to help when people are experiencing unfairness or discrimination in those settings here in Salem.
So the city has the commission. What's the purpose of the commission at the very core?
Well, to develop intergroup relations, to examine sources of tension, to provide a robust supportive process to hear individual concerns or complaints of discrimination. So it works both proactively and also reactively.
So what does that look like in Salem? Because I'm sure in a community maybe from where you came from is different than the community that we live in Salem. What kind of groups are we talking about, or what makes Salem different in this dynamic?
Oh, that's interesting about what makes Salem different.
I would say most important is what makes Salem exactly like the others. Okay, in the sense that, you know, the basis of human rights is that we guarantee as a community, not as individuals or as politicians or anybody, that we guarantee the right to a full, happy life as a participatory citizen in your local community. Anything that's going to infringe upon that, we would like to know about, because it's not fair. You know, our country, especially today, tragically thinks too often of in-group and out-group, or us and them. Human rights is all against that. There's only us.
Tell me about how you really like the use of educating people so that they avoid conflicts.
Real learning comes from a desire to see change, beginning with oneself. When I encounter a situation or a person that I feel I'm not adequately prepared to respond to as my best from the person that I would hope to be, you know, for the other person. And so motivation, I mean, we're surrounded by information, we're surrounded by education in many ways, but when it's really learning, and I remember my grandfather telling me before I went to the university, don't let education get in the way of your learning. You know? You know, it's real learning is when we're stretching, when we're growing, when we're moving out to accommodate ourselves and others in a way that's mutually beneficial. And that takes awareness. First, we have to know what's the reality of the situation.
Right.
What about houselessness in the city, for example? That's a big concern of the mayor. You know, what is the extent? What is the reality of houselessness here? And then after we know that, to be able to generate some alternatives of what can be done about it, and then look at which prioritized, see which ones are realistic, what can be implemented, and what kind of action you can take. So I think learning always ends in action.
So what would inspire a person to call your office or seek information?
What would inspire? That's a good way to begin, because I think there might be two places of inspiration. And the first might be if someone's just open to helping us understand. A person might not need anything, but it really helps, I think, the Human Rights Commission, and it helps mayor and council to have a full understanding of what's happening in the city. So if there was a situation, to just let us know about it, we would really appreciate it for the planning and the thinking and decision making that we do. Another reason, another whole area of inspiration might be if someone's sitting with something that's just not right, perhaps there's a situation, a decision that was made that a person is left being concerned that it was unfair, but not being clear about a direction or a path, or left feeling unwhole or wronged in some way, but not being clear on where to go. We want to help with that. We want to help someone troubleshoot what their choices and options might be. And so they would call for that reason, and we can try to lay out, oh, here are some possible pathways, for what it sounds like you experienced, and try to
That's
help.
open to everyone in the city.
Yes,
Within
yes,
Salem,
yes.
city
Everyone
limits.
in Salem is welcome to call, and we'll help. Yeah.
That's a marvelous distinction, because it's not just for citizens, it's for residents.
Oh, very well.
Right, so that means everybody.
As well as folks that work in Salem. They don't have to specifically live here, but as long as they have a connection to Salem.
If an incident or some experience they have in Salem, it helps you understand maybe areas where the community needs more education in understanding.
Can I ask each of you in turn what your vision would be for just an optimum situation in our community, a goal to be reached? When it comes to
Within the context of
in the context of human rights, but more than that, just like the vibrant community and building
Sure.
toward that. Can you give me an idea of what you'd like
Well,
to
we
see?
started with Eleanor Roosevelt, so I'll go back to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And Sir John Kenneth Galbraith, one of his advisors, was the one who really came up with the expression that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Yeah. And I think that we look at our community, we see ourselves, and we know that we are a vital part of that, with duties and responsibilities as well as rights, okay? And that we are at our best, and we are at peace, and we are happy when we're promoting the well-being of every member of our community as we would want them to do for us.
Lovely.
Lovely.
I would boil it down to inclusion, respect, and support. The reason I joined the commission was because I wanted to ensure my family felt included, respected, and supported. And I knew if my husband and I did not, there were other members in the community that did. So the work that we do, I think, really pushes towards the mayor, including us, respecting us, and welcoming everybody in the city.
It's hard to top that. Salem's my hometown, and I just want, like you both said, I want people to feel that it's a fair and a just and a free space where everyone can live their lives as they want to. And I want there to be an access point and opportunity for solutions. I think one of the funnest things is when something happens to, not that something happened to somebody, but when you can kind of try to help change the experience. Like when we speak with victims of bias crime, or when people call and hadn't imagined an alternative way to respond, and then we can help point folks in directions and give opportunities, and you see sort of the hope restore, and you see the solutions fall in, and then I think people see a remedy, and that's hugely inspiring and empowering.
And feeling heard.
Yeah, and just to feel heard sometimes. Yeah.
Yes.
Just that sometimes seems to really make a difference for someone, and I want that for everyone here.
Well, you've certainly been heard today
Yes.
on our show. We really
Exactly.
appreciate you coming
Thank you.
out.
Really, and talking about this in a way that we understand it better and that our viewers get a much clearer understanding of what you do. Thank you for joining us today. And
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us on InSight today.
And we'll see you next time.